Hi and welcome. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And I'd like to share today some pointers on understanding your awakening and whether you are on that awakening journey. Because as we do come into our own, as we come into all that we do know, there are some little markers along the way. And I thought maybe if I could highlight them for you, you'll be able to understand what's going on. So always, please, let's see how it sits with you. Take it with my love and see whether you're on the awakening journey. And literally by subscribing to my channel, you are most definitely on that journey and probably fully into it as well. So let's just decode some of the things which happen to us. So in no particular order, but I do think this is something that you would have felt from a very, very early age, is that you don't fit in. When we are within a holographic body and we have had off-planet lifetimes, very high vibrational lifetimes, we drop down into this dense field and we know pretty much from the time that we can understand our feelings that we simply don't fit in. And I don't know about you, but we spend a lot of time trying to make ourselves fit into that space. And I want to say to you, that if you feel now that you don't fit in, embrace it. It means that you're not in the program. It means that you're here to develop within your soul. And it means that you're here to awaken within the program that's running so it can show you what needs to be healed for your soul to go through its evolutionary process and take you closer into that source light. If you have children or you are amongst children who also don't fit in, I don't know whether you've just seen that orb that's just gone through the video then. Thank you. Kite samakosha makorosa nakoya ite kapa inishato osko. If you are around starseeds and you can see that they're struggling, we just need to be really cognizant of the fact that they are holding a higher vibration and coming into earth is difficult for them. So we need to show them lots of patience and compassion and understanding. Not to take that journey away from them because they have chosen to come in to have that journey, but simply to hold space so that they know that they are absolutely fitting into what they've agreed to come down to learn. The feeling of not being understood is also number 2 on my list. Not being understood, wow, that comes with that not fitting in. When we don't feel understood, we search within ourselves thinking that it's something that we're doing which is wrong, which is all to do with that conditioning. When we're misunderstood, it tends to create in us a disharmony, and that disharmony can come in many hurtful and harmful behaviours. And it's quite difficult to find a time when we can say, actually, do you know what? It doesn't matter that I'm not understood. I'm going to stand out on my own. And my advice to you is always, always know that you are enough. You are always good enough. If you don't fit in, embrace it. I always think, why do I want to fit into something that feels so alien to me? Something that goes against all of my soul and my spirit. So come to an understanding that you don't fit in, well, that's amazing. Find your tribe. Find people who make your soul sing. Find people that you connect with and have a knowing with, who absolutely gel with you. And it might just be one person, it might be many people. Ask the universe. Remember, you're in control of what comes to you. The law of attraction is very much in play. If you are needing to connect to like-minded people, starseeds, light workers, ask the universe to bring those people to you within synchronistic ways and allow the doors to open. And don't worry that you're not misunderstood, or that you're not understood, that you are misunderstood, because it just means you can journey within. Find out who you are, why you've come here, what you've come here to learn. and then go through your healing and awakening process. Others are joining you. We're all on that journey. Some of us are on different parts of the journey, and some of us have come down with a bit of a double whammy. Some of us have come down not only as starseeds, but we've also come down as way showers, as light workers. And for me, holding the blueprint of awakening for others means that I can facilitate, I can hold that space for you, coming from the high heart, coming from the center heart, coming from an enormous heart of love, saying, actually, I get that. I completely get that. So if there's anything you're going through at the moment that you're struggling with, pop it on my Facebook page, Light Soul Spirit, put a message in here, and I'll see if I can do a channeled information for you. Number 3 on my list is feeling restless. Oh my goodness. When you know there's more out there than we see, when you know that this is just a holographic image that we are within and playing out, we know that there is much more beyond this universe, without the, we know, beyond the multiverse. And when we get really restricted and bound into the constraints and the programs which are running, it makes us so restless. And you need to, I believe, come into just a place of acceptance. We know that there's more. We know that this lifetime doesn't need to be as difficult as it is. When we know the answers to things we're looking for, we know where to seek that, then the pressure is off us. And that restlessness, that knowing that we're a square peg trying to fit into a round hole, it doesn't matter. So we know that when we reach our exit point, when we come out of this lifetime, it's just like a grain of sand. It's insignificant in the whole of our being, in the whole of our creation that goes beyond time and space. It really isn't important. And we get so bent out of shape. And I put my hand up. I used to get so bent out of shape as well, knowing that there was more, but being stuck in all of the density and all of the emotions that I'd come down to heal, that it made life so much more difficult for me. So that feeling of restlessness, knowing that there is more, of course there is more. Oh my goodness, there is so much more. But we don't understand it because we are caught within the constraints of our 3D small brain that we have, even though it might be filled with lots of intellectual things. In the scheme of understanding how the world operates and how the universe operates and the universal laws, it's very small. And that's okay, because we know that there's something much bigger and expansive out there. And many of you as starseeds will be astral traveling. Many of you will be aware of your realities where life is living in a concurrent pattern and those echoes are coming forward. Many of you have that much greater knowing and understanding. So if you're restless, that's okay, because we know that this is just a transient experience that we're having at the moment. On number 4 of my list is the fact that we are naturally empathic. So we are picking up all the energies that are out there. So not only are we dealing with our energies, we're dealing with all of the energies of everybody else that we come into contact with. We're soaking up all of that stuff that they've come in to understand. And those energies are held within buildings, within the land, within open space, within the collective consciousness. So all of a sudden, as very empathic people who naturally suck up people's energies because we are all energy, suddenly we're coming into contact with people who have lower frequencies because that's what they're working through. We go into places that are holding historical low frequencies because that's what happens as we move through lifetime after lifetime. The residue, the footprint stays. And we're like sponges. We just, all of a sudden, we're sucking it up. So we could be in a fantastic place and feel really, really high. And then we might either come into contact with someone who has a low frequency because of what they're dealing with, and we take that on and our energy drops. Or we could enter into a house, a room, a pub, any community place that is absolutely soaked and dripping in other people's energy, and we will pick all of that up as well. So my advice to you on connecting with other people's energy is, one, to make sure you're always grounded. Grounding is so very, very important. Put your roots down into Mother Earth in whatever way feels right for you, and ground down into the crystalline grid. Also connect up into source, so as above as below, that you are completely in alignment. And then bring in your protection, bring in any protection that you need. And I might well do another download for you on protection, because it's quite important as we're sucking up everybody's energies. But also remember, take yourself out of that situation. If you found that your energies have suddenly plummeted, zoom out and work out who have you been with and where have you been. Because a lot of the time those energies aren't for you. If you have agreed to come down and clear what I call slices of collective consciousness, also some days the energies will be very high, and I'll just tune in and ask, are these my energies? Are these collective consciousness? And if they are, I'll come in and do some clearing on that. But I only want to work with my energies. Everybody else's are their own. And your energy is absolutely sacred. Please hold on to your energy field through your protection. There are many, many people out there who will suck on high vibrational energies and will leave you depleted. And it's just the way it is, and we just have to understand that. So make sure you're grounded, please. Make sure you're protected, and always ask, is this mine or is it somebody else's? And then that gives you an idea of what you need to do with those energies. Number 6, others are always drawn to you. You can go into a room and it's like a beacon that shines, and you'll find that people will just naturally see your light because they will connect into your high frequency. So they will see your light and they will feel the love that comes from you. And that is an absolutely beautiful thing. It's so lovely. But sometimes, once again, because we're always dealing in duality, sometimes it can be a burden, because people want to offload. You'll suddenly get everybody's life story, which is fine if that's what you've chosen to do, as a career, or if you've become a light worker and you're helping the masses. But if you're just managing your own experience and your own awakening, that also becomes very, very draining. So be aware that as a natural empath and awakener, that people will be drawn to you, and you need to be very discerning who comes into your field and who you give your energy to. And that's something that you will develop as you move forward. Also, on the awakening journey, our priorities change. And I can certainly say for me, when I was in the program, it was all about gain. It was about what could I own, what could I show that I had, because that filled that black void in me that I couldn't see needed to be healed. So when we're amongst people who are very materialistic, don't drop into judgment. I used to be very judgmental. Don't drop into judgment, because judgment is also part of something that we need to work on ourselves. Come into understanding. Come into the understanding that actually the only thing that's important in this transient experience that we're having is holding more light, being more light, and sharing more light. So our need to prove ourselves is part of the duality that we're coming in to heal and understand. Having to have more than we actually need is part of a hole in us, a darkness in us that needs to be seen and filled with light. And when we start understanding that we have everything that we need, we then can start understanding about what are our priorities. And our priorities are holding the light, sending out love, compassion and forgiveness. So don't be surprised if things that were important for you actually don't hold much importance for you anymore. What's important is harmony and community, and being there and sharing the love and light that we hold. On the awakening journey, we also come into our intuition, into our higher self, into center alignment with the I Am Presence. Therefore, we become more intuitive. Therefore, we see and pick up on synchronicities. We start seeing number sequences. We start knowing things that are going to happen. But one of the things that happens when we first step into our awakening is that we don't actually pay a lot of credence to what we hear within our voice, in our mind. And we often dismiss it because the left brain comes in, and everyone knows how much I talk about left brain. The left brain comes in and it says, hey, that's not right. That can't be happening. You didn't know that. So I want you to really stop and start listening to that inner voice. Don't dismiss it as something that's not true. Listen to the inner voice, because that is your higher self talking to you. That feeling, that gut feeling, is actually your intuition coming into play. So in order to really tune into your intuition, your higher self, go with the flow, listen to it and see how it feels for you. And as you listen more and you start talking and asking questions of your higher self, your answers will come through. And they will always be for your highest good. The answers will always be for your highest good, unless your left brain kicks in, and then it will dismiss it. So be aware that the intuition starts coming forward, and it's about how do you let that in? How do you let go of all your programming and simply come into the voice in your head, the feeling in your heart or in your gut, and you simply trust and believe. And when you can drop, when you can free fall into trust and belief, you're on the journey. Life becomes so much more knowing, enjoyable. You attract to you more of what you're looking for, and you just have an inner knowing that also gives you a high timeline perspective to live your life through. So listen to your inner voice, trust your intuition, know it to be true. Also, number 9 I've got here is that we start to enjoy solitude. When we're struggling, we feel sometimes that we need to surround ourselves with people. That those people are the mainframe of keeping us up. When we do our inner work, when we do our awakening work, when we journey into all of those dark shadow places, when we finally understand what we've come down to work on, then being on our own and being in solitude is actually the most beautiful thing. When we understand that we do not need validation from others, that we only need to know ourselves, then we can be on our own. But we also look at, we reevaluate people that we have had in our lives, and we weigh it up against what do they give us now that we understand what we want, and is that story still true? And be aware that there are some relationships that fall by the wayside because they were there to mirror in you what you needed to understand and know. And when we can come fully into our own solitude, into our own oneness, we find such a peace. We get more connection into our intuitive self, into our higher self, into source channeling, and we become more balanced and more in the flow. So being on your own is not something to be avoided. And if it's something that you really find difficult, journey within. and find out what is it externally do you bring to you that shows you internally what you need to understand, heal, release, and move forward from. And then number 10 is that you start seeing patterns of behavior that you have played out through all of your life, because we will create situations that mirror to us that which we need to understand, to release and let go of. And sometimes we might mirror those relationships, we might mirror those situations, those addictions, really, really way into our lives until we have that aha moment that goes, oh my goodness, I get this, I need to work on this. Because we will simply continue to do the same things until we can step back and ask ourselves, what is that showing us? And when we are triggered, when someone comes and pushes that stick into something that's really, really painful, instead of dropping into the program, please, please, please give gratitude and thanks and ask, what is this is showing me that I need to journey into to heal? And that doesn't come from a place of like la la land, like, oh, we're all going to be love and light all the time, because that's not how it is. But I can guarantee you, every time you are triggered, you'll be triggered on the same things until you, as I say to my clients and I, put on our big girl pants, big boy pants, and we face it and look it in the eye, and we peel it back, and we peel back until we truly understand what it is that we're coming to learn, and we let it go. So I really hope that helps. It wasn't to come and lecture you on how awakening is, because it is different for everyone, but the information I'm given is that actually we're all having the same experience. We have all agreed to come down into a free will earth where we can experience expansion. But to experience that, we have to release the trauma and all of those low frequency emotions that we have played out in many, 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 many lifetimes, thousands of lifetimes, so that we grow, our spirit grows, and we come closer back into source. So I really, really hope that helped. I really hope that helped. I wish someone had told me that when I was going through my awakening. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to my channel. And thank you so much for the journey that you're on as well. Ki te shamakora no koina kai te to oshkaba ana as. Ie te katora no koia makane sie to oshamaka. Ie ke te ka koto. Muskoyana anashite o kotoina ka. You can do it. The universe has you. Everyone has you. And you're here for a reason. So with much love, I wish you the most wonderful awakening. And you know where I am if you have any questions. And you can find me on my Facebook page, which is Light Soul Spirit. And on my Instagram, which is Tina Slade, Light Soul Spirit. Sending so much love. Bye-bye.